For more on all of this economic uncertainty under the Biden administration, let's welcome House Natural Resources Committee ranking member Congressman Bruce Westerman, along with former U.S. Treasury official Michael Faulkender. Let's start with you, Congressman, and talk about the 20 states that are helping folks deal with inflation, which certainly has not been transitory and actually has really hit the pocketbooks of a lot of people. Now states have to write these checks or give some sort of break to residents, and essentially it's more handouts, it's more stimulus while we're combating 7.7% inflation.
Yeah, well, good evening, Jackie. Good to be with you. And we're getting into what old programmers used to call a continuous do loop. We've got inflation because we put too much government money into an overheated economy, and the solution now is to put more government money into the economy. So this isn't the solution to lowering inflation. The solution is to increase supply chains so that we've got more products out there and we're not putting undue pressure on a stressed supply chain side.
Now, we have the soundbite from Jerome Powell where he's talking about inflation. I want to listen to it because the words are really important.
We have a risk management balance to strike, and we think that slowing down at this point is a good way to balance the risks. The time for moderating the pace of rate increases may come as soon as the December meeting. It is likely that restoring price stability will require holding policy at a restrictive level for some time. History cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy.
So, Michael, the market got very excited about the first part of this statement, that maybe he could start not raising rates as much as he has been as soon as December. But the second part of this, I think, is really important when he says restoring price stability will require holding interest rates at a restrictive level for some time. I mean, we're still in for rate hikes here.
We are, and the confusion from Chairman Powell continues because on the one hand, he wants to talk tough because he was so late to starting to raise interest rates and curb inflation, blaming it instead on transitory factors, that now he's behind. He doesn't want the economy to tank by having it go into a recession, but at the same time, he wants to send a message that he's going to be firm on prices. The other thing, Jackie, that I would point out that's a little bit frustrating about his remarks yesterday is that he said that only the Fed is taking the lead on dealing with the labor shortages. And as the congressman just mentioned, there's also a role for the administration and Congress to play in relaxing some of these supply constraints so that we're not solely reliant on monetary policy to bring inflation down.
Right. No, that's an excellent point. But Jerome Powell did say back in the late summer in Jackson Hole that he was going to raise rates and he was going to definitely anticipate that the labor market would slow. And there's a new survey out from Challenger Gray and Christmas. If we could put that screen up, you can see the layoffs are starting to add up here. And that's what I've been talking about with respect to a cooling economy. And this administration keeps saying, but the labor market is fine. You start to add these numbers together, most of them in the tech sector, and you realize that they're adding up significantly. And 2023, Congressman, is going to be brutal for a lot of people. Meantime, you add to this $433 per month year over year. That's according to Moody's, what inflation is costing the average American right now.
Yeah, and it's an untenable situation when you've got inflation and you're seeing a weakening job market. We saw that the new unemployment claims actually decreased, but the continual unemployment claims grew this past week to a high that we haven't seen since February. So there are signs out there that the labor market is weakening, and it still doesn't add up to me, Jackie. This is a mystery, and maybe somebody much smarter can figure this out. But every employer that I talk to back home and across the country tells me that they cannot find people to work.
Yeah.
They've got jobs that they can't fill, yet you're seeing continued unemployment claims grow. So and lower, yeah.
I mean, I've studied this extensively. I'm not sure I have the right answer, but what it seems like is people are getting laid off. Yes, those are people that were in the workforce, gainfully employed. The labor force participation rate is going down because when you look at that map where we showed 20 states of people getting additional benefits to help them combat inflation, but also, of course, this is an administration that spent a lot more to help people overall. They say, why should I go to work? Why should I bother? If I stay home long enough, they'll send me another check, Michael, right?
Well, that's exactly the problem, is that all of this federal money, largely, that was sent out did not have work requirements associated with it. And so, as you were saying, we're seeing labor force participation rate last month in the jobs report declined. We're waiting to see what tomorrow's report is going to provide us with. But when you have people sitting on enough money from all of the excessive government stimulus checks that have been sent out, now they're getting them from the states, there's less work to go fill all of those job openings that are out there. So we've got employers that are looking for jobs. The JOLTS report earlier this week said we're still above 10 million job openings, and yet they can't find enough workers. And this is where Congress, I hope the next Congress, reimposes job requirements for receiving federal aid in many of these programs.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point. And in the last moment that we have left, Congressman, if I can just ask you about the railroad strike, which was averted. House passed the bill yesterday, Senate approved today. Those additional paid sick leave days not included, but this would have been a huge, colossal problem for the Biden administration in this current environment when they said that they pretty much had it all wrapped up. Everything was fine. And yet at the last minute, they say, we need Congress to step in.
Yeah, I think this is a bad precedent, Jackie. You've got a group that was literally holding the American economy hostage. And it was so bad that the hostages became sympathetic towards the hostage takers, and everybody was wanting Congress to bail out the situation, to approve an agreement that should have been worked out between the employees and the companies. And it shows the failure of the Biden administration to deal with an issue that he claims to be an expert in, and that's labor issues. Yeah,
no, that's an excellent point. He certainly does. And it's ironic, to say the least. Congressman Bruce Westerman, Michael Faulkender, great to see you both. Thank you so much for your time.